So I'm going to tell you about my corn planter I have. It started out as a 4-row John Deere 7000. I bought it back in, about January of 03 or so, and customized a lot of stuff on it. The hitch, that was welded up, but I had cut it off and shortened it here. I made this with the different adjustments there, which is important. You see a lot of planters that they're running way too low on of a tractor drawbar, and that's not good. Originally I just had the pop-up fertilizer tank on it. This was moved back, then I moved it up ahead and put a dry fertilizer hopper on. I've got Kinsey fertilizer openers on the front. They're the ones that were the one colder leads the other a little bit. Got a John Deere 7200 transmission here for the fertilizer drive for the dry hopper, which I like this. And this just happened to be what I got with, I think I got it from Binkley Hurst. It was sitting there in with their parts or their takeoff stuff. 7000 transmission for the fertilizer drive would mount like onto here, and I didn't like that as much when I got looking at it, but so I lucked out, got the 7200 transmission. I mean, it just fit. I think I had to torch that a little bit there so it would fit. The thing with this 2-row is you kind of run out of room a little bit. I built stuff here, a little tensioner there. Oh, what else I do? I originally had frame-mounted Kinsey no-till coulters that were the no-till coulter. It ran like I believe it was a 13 wavy coulter, and the Kinsey row cleaners. And well, I got to find out I don't really need the no-till coulters, so I'm just running a 3.5 millimeter thick seed opener discs. And one thing I like to do, like when I switch over to these 7000 planters, is to put the Kinsey style, the lower parallel arm kit on, and put these Kinsey springs on. I'm missing one here, but so you can put 2 of them on there, and you just have to drill a hole or 2 up here in the upper parallel arm. But I really like the Kinsey springs. We had a Kinsey 2600 12-row, and it had that style on there, and I really liked it better. And the Kinsey planter is about my favorite planter, and that's pretty much like the John Deere with blue and black paint, but a heck of a lot better frame. I honestly don't know why anyone would even buy a brand new John Deere this day and age, and you could get a Kinsey, because the Kinsey frames are just so superior over the John Deere, and the transport width is a lot better with the Kinsey. What else I got here? I got Case IH reduced inner diameter depth wheels, so I'm not packing the mud right against the seed trencher. It's carrying the weight more out here. And some guys like these wheels, some people don't. This planter setup, we have a really muddy soil around here, so I can go in the mud and not really smear the sidewalls bad. I have Martin spading wheels here. These have been on here a while. I'm looking to upgrade them, change them to the something that Exapta has. I'll have to talk to Tom Strzelecki about that. What else I have here? I got Keaton seed firmers. They're a very important thing for firm the seed down the bottom seed trench. I put Kinsey bug boxes on here, especially with the pumpkins. Sometimes it's just you got to put down some insecticide. Back here, here's my transmission, old 7000 John Deere. I think that's a 2040 length, that double length. I made this piece of plastic. I put this on here because sometimes the row cleaners kind of, when I pinch down, it kind of fluffs stuff up, like especially maybe some rye or hairy vetch would want to stand up. But I just bolted it under the tongue, 2 bolts up there, and I just took this piece of 1/8 inch flat stock, twisted it, and bolted it up there and here, and this has worked good. I've never had to do anything. Oh, back to my row cleaners here. My row cleaners, those are Yetter, short arm, the Yetter Maverick, or is that the strip to or Yetter? I forget the exact name of them, but they're a Yetter row cleaner unit there, and they're a short arm, and which is nice because with the 7000 John Deere, you have this axle tube that's there, and sometimes you just gotta watch. Sometimes your fertilizer openers are, stuff. The John Deeres are tight. The Kinsey has that double frame, which I really like. Another thing here on my fertilizer openers on the front, I put these because it would tear a ribbon, throw up a ribbon of soil when you're planting, and that's not good. Kind of make a mess of things. We have a wet clay soil here. Look, you're getting kind of a damp, wet sod. It just was making a mess of things sometimes if it fling that ribbon up. That wasn't good, but we're trying to plant sweet corn and stay on the time we schedule for planting. Sometimes we go and plant, and it's not really pretty when we want to plant, but we got to do it. And then for my pop-up fertilizer, this is mounted solid. I forget the name of that, what brand that is, but that goes right, the pop-up fertilizer, right on the seed, and that's attached with the seed disc guard, which is the little cast iron thing that hangs down with the 2 roll pins in it, and this doesn't move around or flop around. Originally had the pop-up fertilizer on the Keatons, and that was a menagerie because they could, they're constantly moving all the time, and you just had more of a chance of things coming apart, and it could really make a mess. Now that there's nothing moving there. Got drag chains there. What else I have? This is a beauty right here. This contact drive wheel. This is from Peckway Planner. And it fits on here pretty good. I said with this 2-row chopped down, I don't have a lot of room. I don't think I can really add anything more on here, to be honest. But this is a savior, because otherwise you had chains down here running up to there, and you get stalks in there jumping them off, or going down the road. I do a lot of little custom work, planting here and there. I do a lot of road ramming, and with those chains on there, if they're going down the wheels, you'd want to take them off, and then there's another mechanism up there. This is fairly easy to put on here. Just bolts on over there, and you got this bracket here with the carrier bearing bolts on there, and then this chain here goes down to here. I put a little tensioner on. I was having a little bit of trouble with this chain jumping. It'd get a little loose and it would jump, and it was skipping. It was had like a little bit of a time to skip to it once in a while, messing up my population fertilizer, all that stuff. But make sure you keep a good fresh chain on here. This is important that it's not stretched out or wore a little bit. And I put this tensioner on here with a spring on it. I think before I just had a little idler there that didn't have any tension on it, no steady tension, and that let it have a little bit of slack, and that wasn't good. But this thing here is kind of important to keep steady tension on that. Trying to think what else I have customized on here. This planter, there's a lot, like you see the black parts, you see green part. There's Kinsey, there's Yetter, there's Martin, there's Case IH parts. These wheels are Case IH there. Oh, on the back here, I put these on with the T-handler for tension. I just let these float pretty much. But like the John Deere one had a bolt here. You had to crank the bolt to adjust it. And for so many different crops and stuff I do, potentially I would have to change that quite a bit. But usually I don't really touch that. If I was running rubber closing wheels, that would be a much bigger deal. Oh, there's another thing here. This little equalizer here. Originally that was just a solid straight across, and that's your stopper for your depth wheel for your depth wheels, for how high up your depth wheels will come. And what that does, it equalizes, and if any of you are familiar with like on the tricycle front end of an old John Deere, they came out with it in 1947, that roll-o-matic front end. You know, it's like if one wheel goes over a 4-inch block, it's like two of them going over a 2-inch block. It equalizes it more. It keeps the row units from hopping and bouncing as much. Works pretty good. Now, when I bought this planer, it was set up for liquid. This pump was originally on here, and I'm running a pop-up. You notice I have a pretty big size sprocket there because this pump has the bigger tubes. If you're gonna set up for a pop-up fertilizer, put the smaller tubes on. You don't need them this big. Our Kinsey planer, we had the small tubes, had pump pretty much identical to this, but it had the smaller diameter tubes, and that's what we were using for pop-up. I do not like the piston pumps with a distributor, and if the reason is, I mean, that distributor would have to work perfect. I don't have faith in distributor. We had a piston pump on the big Kinsey planer, so it originally had, and you know, some rows would be getting too much or some not enough. Just get a little bit of resistance, and they just don't equalize. Whereas this squeeze pump, each row has its own tube. Like there's no messing up, and the squeeze pump is a very positive pump. I've seen, for some reason, if I had this valve shut, and it'll try to suck, it'll actually try to suck that and collapse that hose. It'll start sucking that in. On our big Kinsey we had that, I've seen it suck in a big longer piece of tubing like that and flatten it right down. Like, oops, gotta go open the valve. So I don't know what else. Oh, I have a little pump on here if I have to agitate stuff, if I'm dumping any products in. I mean, sometimes there's been times I've ran out of the liquid fertilizer and I had to go to get by or finish up. I just got some Miracle-Gro and dumped it in, and I could run that electric pump to try to circulate things. Or if you have to put some insecticide in, that you'll keep that have to keep that agitated to keep it mixed. And I do have a monitor for this planer. KPM1 works good. It works for 2 rows. I think most of the newer monitors, you can't get ones that'll go down to 2 rows, like 4 is the minimum. So I lucked out, so I don't make that KP1 anymore. And this is pretty slick here. This is for I think I got it at Napa, but you know, spring loaded. This is what we put on the back of the tractor trailers and the big trucks for our air hoses and our wires, and it holds the hydraulic hoses up here nice and high, and my monitor wire and stuff like that. Because sometimes you get turning, the hoses are down a little bit. You'll hook the hoses on the 3-point hitch arms or stuff, but. So when I had first got this planer, what I had originally pulled it with was this M John Deere. So now I'm getting off topic of the corn planer, but probably everybody liked to see the little M John Deere. But this is my first tractor. I bought it when I was 15. But what I did is I put a hydraulic outlet on it. All you have to do is just tap into the pressure line that goes to the hydraulic lift. So instead of going straight to the hydraulic lift, to the rock shaft, you run the pressure line, you run it over here, goes on one side of the valve, out the other side, and back to here. It did not mess anything up, and it might have actually gave a little more capacity on it. It has a little more hydraulic oil in the reservoir. I thought it worked or moved a little quicker for some reason. I don't know, there's some bigger diameter hoses I put on, but here's my hydraulic outlet. And nice thing about the little M John Deere here is, yes, it does have live hydraulics. So this is a really sweet little tractor. And you know, if I was just planting around right home here, I mean, it'd do all right. Like I said, I ram the roads a lot, and that was one of the big main reasons I put that contact drive wheel on, because now I pull that planer with the Deutz, and that thing goes fast. That's like 26, 28 mile an hour all the time. And I mean, it'll top out 30, 31 And that's no BS either, because I have the GPS in there. So if anybody wants to fight me and say it doesn't run that fast, I could show them. And it is super good on fuel. So, well, I guess that's about it for my corn planter here. I'm just trying to think, but yeah, started life as a 7000 John Deere, and I got that custom sticker made up kind of fancy there. That throws people off. Some people think I've had people ask if it was a brand new planter, which I don't understand why, because the paint's not really shiny on it. I didn't really paint the thing up fancy, but